Good morning and welcome back to WorksheetCloud. My name is Mrs. Vauger. If you haven't been here before, a warm welcome, and I really hope you will enjoy these lessons with us. If you have been here before, you know the drill. Please have a pen and a piece of paper because there are activities that we're going to include as we go along, and I'd like you to participate. So let's jump straight in with our lesson overview. Today we're going to have a daily starter, as we always do. We're going to look at what is poetry, then the different types of poetry. We're going to look at the structure and elements of a poem, and then we're going to look at a specific poem by Sandile Dekeni, a South African poet. So let's jump right in. Before we carry on with this lesson, if you have not watched the previous one on figurative, emotive, and literal language, I really do encourage you to watch that one first before you carry on with this lesson. Right, I'd like you to look at the screen and I'd like you to take your piece of paper and write down those words. And then I want you to find as many powerful words that you can to replace that. So instead of using the word pretty, what other synonyms could you use? And so on, for run, for bad, for little, for look, and for good. Other words that will give just a little bit more emotion or a little bit more insight into exactly how bad something is. So why don't you pause the video at this stage, and then when we come back, we'll look at some of the examples that I found. Okay, so we've got pretty, and other words we could use are beautiful, gorgeous, adorable, magnificent, charming, graceful, delightful, appealing, pleasant. I hope you even found better ones than I did. Other words for run, and they really just tell you exactly how you ran. Did you sprint, jog, gallop, dash, dart, race, trot? And different words we could use for bad. Instead of saying it was a bad day, terrible, horrible, ominous, hideous, awful, dreadful, atrocious. Are you getting the hang of it? Just to see how there are other words that you could use in your writing just to make it a little bit better than it is. Words for little, small, minute, tiny, minuscule, petite, miniature, microscopic, and brief. Other words for look, how did you look? Did you gaze? Did you stare? And in the previous lesson, we looked at that in terms of the connotation of a word. So gaze is sort of positive, to gaze across, but to stare at somebody gives a little bit more of a negative connotation. Other words for look, glare, peer, behold, review, glimpse, watch, see, notice. And then our last one, other words for good, great, amazing, incredible, marvelous, superb, superior. I really hope that helped you just think a little bit more about the words that you use or the choice of words that you use. Right, so let's jump straight into poetry. What is it? It is a type of literature or artistic writing that conveys a thought or it tells a story or it creates a scene in order to stir the reader's emotion, your emotion or your imagination. A poet does this very carefully by choosing specific words and arranging them for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. The opposite of poetry is prose, and that is just a normal text that runs without line breaks or rhythm, much like a paragraph. And then some poems, such as nursery rhymes, are simple and can actually be quite funny. So we can divide poetry into different categories known as genres. There are rules which cover writing different genres of poems. So poems are called ballads, sonnets, lyrics, odes, epics, elegies, haikus, free verse, limericks, acrostics, and cinquains. And each type of poem obviously has a unique structure, and there are more than this. So let's take a look at the different types. We've got a narrative, which just tells a story. If you've written a narrative essay, you know you've written a story. Ballads are stories that are set to music. Lyric is where you express the thoughts and feelings of just one speaker. A concrete or shape poem is the one like this on the side. You've got, you've got a haiku, which is a Japanese form of writing. You've got free verse, which really just lacks rhythm and a pattern. You've got sonnets, which are 14 lines with very strict rhyme schemes. And then you've got limericks, which we're going to jump into in a minute. If you look at the structure of a poem, we're going to look at different things. We're going to look at the theme. We're going to look at rhythm and rhyme. We're going to look at tone, we're going to look at diction, and we're going to look at mood. So let's jump into our first one. When we're looking at the theme, and obviously I'm sure if you've been doing any kind of novel work with your teacher, she has been talking about the theme or different themes in a book. And so that's just the idea that's been examined in the poem. Talking about the message or the moral within the poem, and then what does the poem make you think about? And so examples of those are love, greed, courage, survival, friendship, bravery, and there are obviously many more. Then we look at rhythm, and that is the beat that the words create, using emphasis and obviously your syllable counts. And remember, syllable counts are happiness. So those kind of things, that's what we're talking about. So example, a limerick, and this type of poem is one of my favorites. So let's take a look at the old man. There once was an old man with a beard, who said, "It is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren, have all built their nests in my beard." So that's what we're talking about, being humorous. And then the last one, a woman who once heard a mouse ran screaming all through her house. She sent in the cat to dispose of the rat, to find it was only her spouse. And a spouse is your partner or your wife or your husband. And then if we look at rhyme, and that's the words that have the same sound at the end of a line. Not all poems obviously have rhyming words, and you have to look at the rhyme scheme to be able to figure out what that is. So each new sound at the end of a line is given a letter, starting with A, then B, and C. So if an end sound repeats the end sound of an earlier line, it gets the same letter. So let's look at this in practice. And these are just silly poems that I've just found. My cat is nice, my cat likes mice, my cat is fat, I like my cat. So you can see there the first word is nice, so you start off with A. The next word at the end of the line is mice, and it rhymes with nice, so it gets the same letter A. My cat is fat gets the next letter, which is B, and then what rhymes with fat is cat, so it gets the same letter. So the rhyme scheme in this little poem is A, A, B, B. Then if we look at this one, my cat is grey, my cat is fat, my cat is cute, I like my cat. We start off with the first word at the end of the line is grey, and so it gets the letter A. The next word is fat, does not rhyme with grey, and so we gave it a B. The next word is cute, does not rhyme with grey or fat, and so it gets C. And then the last word is cat. And if we look at it, we gave A, B, C, but then we've got fat, which rhymes with cat, so it gets the same letter. So the rhyme scheme for that poem is A, B, C, B. Look at the last one on the page. My cat is nice, my cat is fat, my cat likes mice, I like my cat. The first word there is nice, which is your A. Your next word is fat, which does not rhyme with nice, and so it gets a B. Your next word is mice, which rhymes with the first word, which is nice, and that gets the A, and then obviously fat and cat. So the rhyme scheme there is A, B, A, B. Some more to look at. All my great excuses. I started on my homework, but my pen ran out of ink. My hamster ate my homework, my computer's on the blink. And there you can see your first word is homework, that's A. Ink is B because it doesn't rhyme. Next word is homework, which rhymes with the first one, A, and ink and blink. So the rhyme scheme there is A, B, A, B. Today I had a rotten day. Today I had a rotten day as I was coming in from play. I accidentally stubbed my toes and tripped and fell and whacked my nose. So there as well, you've got day and play. So there's the A, and toes and nose, B, B. So your rhyme scheme for that one would be A, B, B. Then we jump into mood and tone. And mood and tone I've put together because sometimes we get them confused. And mood is really about you. It's the feeling that the poem gives you after reading it. So words could be you felt frustrated, joyful, optimistic, frightened, sympathetic. And then tone is really the voice that the speaker is using in the poem. And you don't know the tone unless you read the powerful or emotive words that a poet uses. And so those words could be serious, playful, humorous, or sarcastic. And if we look at this sentence, sit down and take out your books. We don't know how, if I was your teacher in a classroom saying that. We don't know. So if I said, sit down and take out your books, you know my tone is serious and I'm a bit annoyed. If I said, sit down and take out your books, a little bit more playful, I'm not as serious as the first one, you're getting the tone. And I love this on the side. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. My mom always used to say that to me. So really think about it's not what you are saying, it's the way in which you're saying it. And sometimes when you think people are misunderstanding you, go back and look at the tone in which you said something. Right. And then we're looking at diction, the last one. And like I said, if you didn't see the previous lesson, I really would go back and look at it, because diction is the choice of words that a poet is using. We looked at figurative language, and some of the ones that we looked at, we didn't look at all of these on the screen, but we did look at some of them, like onomatopoeia, simile, metaphors. There are a whole lot: alliteration, idioms, hyperboles, assonance, personification, symbolism, puns. There's lots more. There's so many more that you can look at, but we just looked at a few. And then when we looked at figurative language, we looked at the connotation of a word, so that the way in which the word evokes emotion. And sometimes words have positive and negative connotations. And so if we are thinking, for example, of the word smell, you could have fragrance and you could have odor. So the word smell, we know, is something that you smell. That's quite neutral. We don't know what the smell is. But if you said a fragrance, then we know, oh, okay, that's probably nice, like perfume or a bouquet of flowers. If you're talking about an odor, it's sort of got the negative connotation. We don't know if it's stinky feet or socks or something like that. And then obviously figurative language, as I've spoken about, poets use this in their writing, such as your similes and metaphors, just to enhance the writing, to make it more meaningful. And then, like we've just discussed, it depends on the tone or the mood, those words that are in the poem, what are they trying to get for you as the reader to feel in terms of mood, to feel frustrated. If it's a tone, the poet is still using words to try and create an emotion in terms of how they are feeling or writing the poem. So we're going to jump straight into a poem by Sandile, and he was a South African poet. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, and you can really go and just Google a few things about him. He was part of the apartheid era, and just this poem is, I think, just so amazing, especially now as we're in lockdown and as we think about what our country and many other countries are going through. So it's called Love Poem for My Country, Sandile Tekeni. My country is for love, so say its valleys, where ancient rivers flow the full circle of life under the proud eye of birds adorning the sky. My country is for peace, so says the veld, where reptiles caress its surface with elegant motions glittering in their pride. My country is for joy, so talk the mountains, with baboons hopping from boulder to boulder in the majestic delight of cliffs and peaks. My country is for health and wealth, see the blue of the sea, and beneath the jewels of fish, deep under the bells of soil, hear the golden voice of a miner's praise for my country. My country is for unity, feel the millions, see their passion, their hands are joined together, there is hope in their eyes. We shall celebrate. And so if you take a look at this poem, it's got different stanzas. So stanzas are where you can see the separation between the next one. So there's stanza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he ended off with a separate line. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at each stanza and just discuss what kind of emotive words, figurative language, choice of words that the poet has used. So in the first one, my country is for love. Obviously he starts with my country. So there shows a bit of pride. It's his country, my country is for love. So that's what the subject is about for this particular stanza. My country is for love, so say its valleys. There's a figurative language device there. Can you see it? Yes, valleys can't say something, so it's personification. So say its valleys where ancient rivers flow, the full circle of life under the proud eye of birds adorning the sky. So obviously the full circle of life there, it represents life and death, past, present, and future. And obviously the word ancient will connect with that in terms of past. And then the rivers flow, and they flow under the proud eye of birds. So even the birds themselves are proud of the country, and the birds adorn the sky. And adorn obviously refers to, if you think of a woman who adorns herself with jewelry, same kind of thing, that the birds adorn the sky. So it really brings in that pride for our country and the beauty of nature. Right, if we look at the next one. My country is for peace. Again, the repetition of my country, so it's again showing the pride that he has, is for peace. The figurative language there again, so says the felt. The felt can't speak, so it's personification. And that word felt is uniquely South African, like the word bra. So we know that this poem is specifically about South Africa, and obviously because he's a South African poet. So says the veld, where reptiles caress its surface. Reptiles obviously can be a couple of things, snakes, lizards, leguanes. So where reptiles caress its surface. So caress is sort of like giving a warm touch. So these reptiles caress the surface. It's almost like they're caring for it, with elegant motions glittering in their pride. So there's words that we've used like caress, elegant, glittering. Okay, so the word elegant is not with rushed movements. It's sort of almost, if you had to refer to a woman who's being elegant, she's just well put together, and her motions are not rushed. So these reptiles are not rushing across the earth's surface and then glittering in their pride, almost comparing them to jewels that glitter. The snake's skin, as you know, if you see it sometimes in the sun, there's sort of that glittering effect. And so some lovely uses of powerful words. They didn't just move, they moved elegantly and obviously glittering to describe their skin. Right, let's take a look at the next one. My country is for joy. Again, the repetition to show the pride in his country is for joy. Joy obviously is a happy emotion. He's happy to be part of South Africa. So talk the mountains. Again, personification. Mountains can't talk. And so talk the mountains with baboons hopping from boulder to boulder. So there's your animals, the baboons hopping from boulder to boulder. Hopping sort of gives me a feeling of happiness when you hop across, almost like hopscotch at school. So there's that kind of choice of words. There's an excitement in it. And boulder to boulder is a sound device. Can you see that? The B and the B, so that's your alliteration, boulder to boulder. And so they're hopping from boulder to boulder in the majestic delight of the cliffs and peaks. Majestic, obviously to do with almost royalty, like a king and a queen. Majestic means they're just so amazing and powerful, the mountains and the peaks that the baboons are hopping across. So again, not just big cliffs and mountains or peaks. He's used words like majestic and delight. In other words, their delight and hopping connect again to each other in terms of a happy feeling. And then if we go on to the next one. Right. My country is for health and wealth. Again, there's the same repetition of my country. So that repeating is so important to notice because that's on purpose. That's a choice that the poet is making, is for health and wealth. And obviously in terms of wealth, we're talking about the abundance of the fish and minerals. I know at the moment, due to lockdown, it's very difficult to think of our country being healthy. But there are lots of people who are healthy and well. And when we think of our country, we need to have compassion on the people around us who are not enjoying good health at the moment, and also then to respond to our president's address in order to lock down for another 2 weeks. Let's get back to the poem. I was a bit sidetracked there. Is for health and wealth. See the blue of the sea and beneath the jewels of fish. The blue of the sea, okay, hasn't really given anything to indicate what kind of blue, but the health and wealth that's in the sea and beneath the jewels of fish. There's a figurative language, jewels of fish. So fish are being compared directly to jewels. So it's your metaphor. And then I've put a picture there because when we think about jewels, they're quite shiny and sometimes there's a different shape. You often get an oval shaped gemstone. And so just to give you that kind of visual picture of what he's talking about. Deep under the bowels of soil, So bowels are to do with your intestines. So much like that, he's using that specific word. It's a deliberate choice to explain underneath the ground where the miners are. You've got those passages that the miners work in. So there's the bowels of soil, and deep under the bowels of soil, you can hear the golden voice of a miner's praise for my country. Deliberate choice of word there again. If you look at the word golden and miners, we know that miners dig underground for precious minerals, which is your gold and iron ore, etc. So the golden voice is not a sad voice. They didn't say the depressed voice. It's a golden voice. So the miners themselves are happy to be a part of this country and to be part of creating wealth. So I hope you're getting that the poet has used specific choice of words in order to create a picture. And that's what you need to do when you are writing a story or a poem or even just an email to somebody. Think about the choice of words that you're using and what kind of tone that you are creating in which the reader is going to interpret. And then if we look at the last stanza, really, there is one more sentence after this. My country is for unity. Again, my country, he's repeating that pride is for unity. This is the last attribute he speaks about and possibly the most precious. And I think in light of where we are in our country at the moment with the pandemic, great poem to look at is for unity. Feel the millions. So that's all of us. There's millions of us as South Africans, different cultures, different races. See their passion. The choice of words, passion. We know that South Africans are quite passionate about different things, especially if we think about just our heritage, all the different kinds of cultures that we have in our country. Their hands are joined together. Their hope in their eyes. There is hope in their eyes. Joined together, there's a repeating of the unity joined, and there is hope in their eyes. So there's the sea and eyes that connect together and hope. In other words, never to let that go. There is hope in our eyes. And then we end off with we shall celebrate. It's the last stanza. It's completely separate from the rest of the stanzas, and it sort of is meant to create an impact. We shall celebrate. And look at his choice of words in this one little line. There's the confidence that we will continue to celebrate. It's not we might celebrate. We will. We shall. It's something that is going to happen. I love that again, he's used the unity in terms of choice of words. We, all of us, are going to celebrate. And celebrate, there's that positive note. This is not where it ends. Whether we've gotten through apartheid, whether it's this pandemic, we shall celebrate as a nation. And if you think back to our World Cup, how awesome was that when we came together across different provinces and stood united to support our rugby team. It was incredible. I can remember the day and the way I felt. So I am actually just going to skip quickly back to the whole poem, and I want us to read it again and just to sort of get the pictures that we've looked through with each stanza, but now to read it as a whole and see how you are feeling about the poem once we've put it all together. Love poem for my country, Sandile Dekeni. My country is for love, so say its valleys, where ancient rivers flow, the full circle of life under the proud eye of birds adorning the sky. My country is for peace, so says the veld, where reptiles caress its surface with elegant motions glittering in their pride. My country is for joy, so talk the mountains with baboons hopping from boulder to boulder in the majestic delight of cliffs and peaks. My country is for health and wealth. See the blue of the sea and beneath the jewels of fish. Deep under the bowels of soil, hear the golden voice of a miner's praise for my country. My country is for unity. Feel the millions, see their passion. Their hands are joined together. There is hope in their eyes. We shall celebrate. I really hope you've enjoyed this poem today. And as you can see, there's not much rhyme to this poem, but nonetheless, the way he's written it, the choice of words has been nonetheless very powerful. And so that's where we end today. I hope you've enjoyed this. There are activities for you to do. So once you close this video, you will go to this section, not the play video, which will be poetry. You'll find worksheets. There might be 1 or 2, or there might be more with the memos. I really encourage you to do them and then mark them afterwards and see how you've done. And then again, if you have any questions about today's lesson, the poetry lesson, you can email me at grade7@worksheetcloud.com. As you know, again, thank you for watching Grade 7s. This lesson was brought to you by Worksheet Cloud, and you know where I will be tomorrow. Same time, and I'll be in the same place. Bye, everybody.